Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Backstage Spotlight. Today we are with India Chadwick. Hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. Really well. As we're recording this, I should say, as we're recording this, it's feeling a bit festive, isn't it? But
Yes,
when
yeah.
we're releasing this, it's going to be 2025.
2025. Can you believe we are already in 2025? I remember the start of 2024 being like, I can't believe we're in 2024, and now it's literally going to be 2025.
Yeah. In denial.
Honestly, because where did 2020 and 2021 go? Because I have no recollection.
Girl, that was my graduating year, so that just like disappeared.
Oh no, we will come on to that. But first of all,
Yeah.
would you like to basically tell everyone listening what you have been up to in the industry so far?
Yeah, so I guess I should mention the elephant in the room. I've literally just come off tour about a week and a half ago from Greece. So I've spent the past 8 or 9 months touring the UK and Ireland as Marty and covering Sandy in Greece. So that's been my most recent. Yeah, still recovering from that one in a good way. But yeah, so that's literally just finished just now. And back to auditions. But yeah, I trained at GSA, and that was, yeah, like I said, graduated back in 2020. So I've done new musical workshops, pantos, obviously musicals, and yeah, whole mix of things.
Amazing. So I always take it back to the beginning with my guests. Were you
Okay.
an active child? Did you always like performing, or did it come later on?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a nice question. Yeah, do you know what? Whenever I answer this question, people laugh at me because I was the most shy and terrified little child.
Uh,
Um, like hiding behind my mum's legs, wouldn't answer the phone, like such a scared little shy little girl.
oh,
I did ballet. I did ballet from the age of 4, as so many of us do. But yeah, I did not do it early on in life. I always had this like sweet little voice, but I wouldn't often let it out. I was very quiet until about the age of probably like 10 or 11 when my mum went, oh, let's just like send her off to her youth theatre and just like see what happens. She'd actually tried it with me when I was about 4 or 5 and I was terrified, like so overstimulated. Came home crying, hated every second. So yeah, I know. But then I went back when I was about 10 or 11 and created a monster, a musical theatre monster. So yeah, and from then on, I just obviously like grew in confidence, like through my teen years. Went to my youth theatre. I'm from Peterborough, so there's a really amazing youth theatre there called Kindred Drama, which is where I like, I guess, grew in confidence. Really, yeah.
I teach dance and I do the ages of 3 and 4 and 5. And even then, seeing kids come out of their shell, it's so wholesome. Like from the start of term, even to now, like it's what, December, it's just
Yeah,
4 months. And the difference in a child that just like sending them to dance can make, and I feel like parents don't always know this, that if your kid is underconfident, you can just send them like your mum did with youth fit. Like it's mad how much a kid can come out of their shell from going to an activity like that, being around children who are confident already and taking a leaf out of their book, and it does them wonders. And I've gone to parents like, she is really coming out of her shell, and they're like, really? And I'm like, what? And
they don't believe it.
we've got
Yeah,
what in a couple of weeks, and I just can't wait for them to see how much their kid has come along, because it is mad what that can do to a kid at that age. So I think
yeah.
it's really nice that you had that experience going to that youth theatre and it allowing you to
100%. And it's so sweet as well because I think, and I'm sure you find the same thing, even if kids don't grow up to be in the industry, it's even just like confidence building, whether they go into an office job, whether they go into the NHS, like whatever it is, it can be like public speaking, it can be confidence in front of a group of people, it can be like anything. And I think, I mean, this is such a like larger issue, but like the performing arts in general can be the thing that like helps someone find what they want to do eventually, even if that's not performing arts.
for sure. I
So
mean, that's
that
exactly
was the case.
me. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
graduated and I'm like, I don't necessarily want to go onto the stage, into theatre, but I'd love to do interviewing, presenting, that sort
yeah,
of thing. It's just
amazing.
an avenue that you can go down, and going to these colleges and meeting these people. it can really open so many doors in in the performance industry itself, and it is
Yeah, a
really
hundred
good.
percent. There's people that I went to youth theatre with, who now work at like Refy and Charlotte Tilbury. Like, do you know what I mean? In
Yeah,
like these
that's
huge
mad.
amazing marketing jobs. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah,
So yeah.
so good. I mean, the avenues you can go down, and it's so interesting having graduated, seeing where your year group end up. Don't you find that?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, so crazy because I think you get in a bubble at drama school, and for anyone who's listening who's at drama school, you do get in a bubble of, oh, this is what that person's going to do, this is what that person's going to do. I was a classically trained legit soprano, and I never belted at GSA ever. I was terrified. Since I graduated, every final and every job I've done is either pop or contemporary belt. So like you never know what you're going to do. Yeah.
so let's talk about your time at Guildford School of Acting. What a college! Such a prestigious college to have trained at. How was your time there? Do you remember your first day?
My first day, yeah, I do actually. I have a picture outside the GSA sign from my first day. Anyone that's been to the building, it's a bit like a spaceship, and you've got this like black and white sign on the front of the building. And I've been sort of hoping and praying for years that I would get in. And obviously, you turn up on the first day in like your religiously perfect, blacks and your big backpack and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, literally like
With
slick, like, and you
tattoos,
can
your
have my
ballet
hair.
shoes, your rap book, like all of it.
Everything. Obviously, by day two, I didn't have half of that with me, but like, yeah, I do. And I took this picture outside the front of the school, and I remember just feeling like a bundle of energy was just going to explode. And I was so nervous because I think from day one, I was like imposter syndrome, being at a school that I'd wanted to be at for so many years. But yeah, I mean, I remember I sort of got there and I went, yeah, this is, because GSA isn't in London, it's in Guildford, obviously in Surrey. So it doesn't feel quite as, I guess, hustly and bustly as maybe some of the other colleges in central London do, which I think really suited me. And obviously, aside from the fact that at the time it was like considered, I don't believe in this, but this is what was drilled into me, like one of the top three. I don't think that's the case,
Yeah.
certainly not anymore. But yeah, at the time I was just like, I can't believe I'm here. Like it's just crazy. Yeah.
So how many people were in your year group?
Oh my goodness. I think about 35 or 36.
Now that to me is incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's such a good number for a year group, and keeping courses that small is what makes it the training like
Yeah.
personable, one to one. Like your teachers know you, you know your teachers, you know your goals. Did you like having a close-knit year group?
100%. I loved it because, like I said, like I grew up a very quiet child, and there's still definitely that side to me. Like I am such an extroverted introvert, and I think having the time and space and air to like breathe a little bit in sessions, and especially because our year was divided into two most of the time, so it was like 18, which
Yeah.
is even smaller. And then obviously you have like small group singing and other classes that are, dance, for example, obviously you'd have like 6 sets for dance and things like that. So I think, yeah, it really suited me. I think I would have been quite overwhelmed if there was like 200 people in my year, and maybe, I
That's
don't
the
know, I think I would have felt a bit swallowed, but
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. I went to Lane Theatre Arts and there were 80 people in my year group. And I thought that that was small, like compared to some colleges which are like 200, 250. I'm like, how? And even at Lane, so as you said, like ballet gets split into like five. So your classes are really small. You're in classes of like 15 maybe.
Yeah.
So at that level, like you do get the personal, feedback and all of that. But 35, I mean, that is next level.
Yeah, I mean it was great. That was one of my favorite things I would say about the course was that actually, and GSA is affiliated with the University of Surrey as well. So I had to get like A levels and stuff to get in. Like it was like
Yeah,
AA or something wild, and I was like, why does it matter that I can do French A level to get into a musical theatre course? But you did, and it was, yeah, I think in the end it was something I was really grateful for. And I know some people prefer like those big kind of community sized year groups. For me, it really worked, I think. Yeah.
it really is like dependent on the person, I think. If you are outgoing and love being around people, then that's not going to be for you, is it? So it really is personal as well. I wanted to ask this to someone who went to GSA forever, but I've never actually got around to it. How did you find living on the uni campus with the other students?
Oh yeah, I forget that's not like standard for
Oh,
drama schools. Okay, yeah. I mean, I loved it. I loved it because I think someone who always wanted to go to drama school, there was maybe not a concern because, like I said, I have that introverted side that I would miss out on like that classic uni experience that all my friends were going to get. And I think that let me like dip my toe into it a little bit. I was they were like groups of houses with all different names on the campus. And I was actually on the one furthest from GSA, but it was halfway between GSA and town. So it was quite nice because I sort
Oh,
of a little bit human and a little bit uni. So it was quite
yeah.
cute
And
in that
also,
way.
like the walk, you don't feel like you're coming out of college and then being straight at home, and it's like a bit of separation.
Falling into bed. I mean, it was about 8 minutes, like it was nothing.
Oh,
But
yeah, don't be
yeah.
dramatic.
But that was, yeah, literally, I was literally on the other side of the campus, like right by the train station, which was also good because obviously
So good.
first year you want to go home and stuff like that. So yeah, I loved it. I think we had like a student union. We had like the University of Surrey. I think it was called Rubik's. It's like this club. Anyone that's been there. When I was there, it was absolutely filthy. Like it was so uni. It was, exactly what you'd expect. And that's where we did like all of our freshers, Halloween, like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was nice. And you have like little cafes. We had like a student pub. So I really enjoyed that side of it. I think it made it feel like the classic uni experience a little bit more, even though we were in like stupid o'clock doing crazy hours compared to most of the courses on the campus. It kind of let us dip our toes into that like uni experience. Yeah.
Nice as well because it's all belongs to the uni. It's you feel safer. Whereas when you go to a college and it's like in the city, you're going to these clubs around where you live and it's like general public. And I'm not saying the general public are like scary, but some are.
I
And you
am, yeah, 100%.
and like it as a dancer, people know you go to this college and they know that you go out at the weekends and what clubs you go to. And they come up to you and you're like, oh, are you a lady? And you're like,
Yeah, and
oh,
it can be really intimidating. I
yeah,
mean, I went to obviously college in Guildford, like Guildford of all places. It's not particularly scary, it's very,
very
I
nice.
would say, as a stereotype, it's a very well-off place for people who actually live there. And there's also a lot of international students who, again, as a stereotype, obviously they're paying to be there, so they will have a lot of money. And so it was quite a tame place in that way because like I said, I wasn't in central London, so going out to the clubs and stuff like it was all right. Do you know what I mean? Even the ones in town, it sort of felt like a little bit of a, I don't know, like we were in a bubble
Yeah, like
still.
Haven.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Guildford.
Yeah, what can the worst be in Guildford?
Yeah, exactly.
So looking back at your time at college, what was your like key moment, like your best memory? Do you have one?
Yeah, I do actually. I would say I didn't have a particularly easy journey at GSA. I would say I had in the first year of drama school, my dad passed away and my granddad passed away within the space of about 5 months. And it was like in the first month it happened. So I feel like the whole of my first year was kind of tainted because of that. And obviously, anyone who's been to drama school will know it's hard enough. Like, it is hard enough
Oh yeah,
as it is.
yeah, for
So
sure.
intense. So going through that and spending most of my first year, I mean, I'm such a big advocate for mental health, and ended up spending most of the first year just grieving and like trying to just drag myself through 9 a.m. jazz. All my poor friends around me like rallying to try and support me, who were amazing, and I'm still close with so many of them now. One of them's actually down the hallway right now. So yeah, you build these like bonds for life. But I think my first year I sort of felt like I was just like trying not to drown most of the time. So then by the time I got to second year, one of my second year projects was Phantom. And like I said, I was like a classical soprano girly. Like I'm literally Christine Daae cosplay. So most of the time without even trying to be. So yeah, we did Phantom as our second year project. And I think not because it was like my best performance ever or because it meant a lot. It was literally in a studio. Like we weren't even costume. We were in character skirts and blacks and character shoes. But I think that was the first time that I went, oh, I feel a bit better now. Like I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing here. I think I loved every second of it. It was like excerpts of it. So I got to do a bit of Christine and a bit of Carlotta, which was so fun. And I just remember going, oh, it's really nice to just do what I'm good at for a sec and feel like I'm at home. And yeah, I had a really good like end of second year. I think those projects are a really nice place to feel safe and like you can just like go for it because it's just other GSAers as the audience as well. So yeah, I would say that was like my like, oh, I really remember that as a good time. And I think our whole year tended to have, yeah, a pretty good time at the end of second year. It was like good vibes. Yeah.
So, and then
Yeah.
obviously your graduation year was COVID and lockdown. Tell us about that.
Girl, honestly, that was like what, 4 years ago now, which I mean, it feels like longer to be honest. It feels like I was a different human being. But yeah, so I was in the 2020 graduating year of GSA, which meant
Oh,
that
for
around
God's sake,
whenever it
condolences.
Thank you. Still recovering from the trauma of that. But like genuinely halfway through my showcase dress rehearsal, like we just had to leave. Like we had to leave and just got pulled out and I never went back. I've never set foot in the school since the day that we just had to all up and disappear. We have that showcase recording, and that was it. Like, you know, I then went on to Zoom in my mum's house, doing like ballet in the conservatory, which was a horrendous time for all of us. So, yeah, I mean, there's just no other way to put it other than the fact that I think creative people, actors need each other, and I think that was the biggest challenge for all of us. You know, my final day at GSA was spent on Zoom with 36 people and all of our head of year, head of MT, and we were just sobbing over the camera. Like it was just so dramatic. Like now I look back, I'm like, that is so horrendously dramatic. But actually, we all sat in our bedrooms and all we wanted was to be together. So yeah, it was a very hard way to finish, especially because a lot of people, didn't have agents yet or didn't have the opportunity to show themselves. So yeah, I think there was a lot of challenges. People face different things dependent on where they were at in their personal journey of third year. But pretty much immediately after lockdown, I signed with my first agent after it set in. So then I sort of was going into like self tapes and stuff like that. But I ended up actually being able to do a musical theatre workshop of a new musical COVID year, which was wild because I was so lucky to be somebody that worked that year at all. But yeah, so I ended up doing that in my graduating year.
Yeah, that's really, quite lucky, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Most people didn't work for a year and a half, so I just got really lucky that there was something that was right for me and, the team that was right and a track that was right. And it was about 2-3 months worth of work. So that was enough to keep me going.
What was the first piece of theatre you saw coming out of lockdown? Do you remember the first time you went back to the theatre?
I can't remember. I think it was, oh, no, I really can't remember. I wish I did though. I
Like the
think it was
social
actually,
distancing seats, like all of that.
yeah, do you know what? I think it was actually a GSA show.
Oh,
They were doing at the time because of like all the social distancing and everything. Their end of third year show was outdoors, like in the
oh
woods.
goodness.
Yeah. So I think it was the third year show that year. I can't remember. I've been to see a couple since then, but yeah, I think it was that, and they did it literally in like a forest clearing. Anyone that's listening to this that's been to those, it's actually really beautiful, and they're all mic'd, and it's a full production, literally surrounded by trees. So yeah, that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your auditioning. You obviously were in the tour of Greece, so tell us about how your Greece audition was.
Okay, I've never told this story, but it's actually wild.
I can't
So
wait. No.
yeah, Greece as a whole, I mean, obviously Greece was on at the Dominion in 2023, for that summer and going into, autumn, winter. So a couple of people from that cast were actually in our cast as well, and they're all incredible. So I think they were cast quite early on, either during their run or just as it finished. And then most of the auditions happened in October, November, which is actually when I was still recovering because I had knee surgery last year. Yeah, I had an ACL reconstruction last year. I'm absolutely fine now, like fit as anything. But yeah, I had my whole knee reconstructed last year. I had to learn to walk again.
Stop it.
Crazy.
It's literally just been on tour, like no problem.
Yes, hand jiving, crazy. But yeah,
Oh,
so I wasn't auditioning yet when Greece started auditioning, and they cast 90% of the roles. Um, and then I did Panto as like my first job back in December, with a wonderful man called Richard Rowe, who is one of the choreographers on Grease. And so, yeah, with Arlene Phillips. So, um, in January, like the second week of January, I get an audition come through for Marty cover Sandy in Greece, and I went, hold on a minute. I thought they'd already cast this because they had. I knew people that had got it, so I was like, what's going on? I guess I'm actually not entirely sure. I guess either they hadn't found a Marty or
Someone
maybe
dropped out or got another job. Like, yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't think that they'd actually cast anyone, because it was Marty, Rizzo, and Roger. So then when I went in for my first round, they were only looking for those three tracks. They'd cast everybody else, and everybody had accepted. So I went in on like the Monday in January, like Monday the, I don't know, 7th or something, really early on. And this is like one of my first auditions back from my knee surgeries. I'd done like maybe one or two before then, including a recall. So yeah, like was fresh, was a little bit nervous. But because it was Richard Rowe that was running the audition, I went, do you know what? I feel like I'm in a safe space. I've worked with him twice before doing pantos. And he just said, just like, let me know how you get on. I was like, great, let's go for it. Anyone that's done the Grease dance round knows that it is full out. It's full out Friday.
tell from the show that the audition's going to be full out.
You're doing Grease Lightning, you're doing Beauty School Dropout, like it's full out, and you have partner work as well. So basically, I had about 3 or 4 rounds in the space of 7 days. So
Wow.
between my first round and my offer, it was 7 days, which is just like pretty unheard of, I would say, for large scale musicals. But yeah, I did a first round where I sang my own song, and
What you
yeah,
sang?
I sang Screw Loose from Cry Baby
Oh,
because
classic.
it's the perfect Marty song. Are you kidding? Like boy obsessed, perfect era. And it was my favourite at drama school just for like a silly one. And I think maybe it is overdone in a way, but I was like, I know I'm really good at this. Like I know I can really sing this. So
You
yeah,
chose
threw
one.
a couple of,
Perfect song to do. Yeah.
exactly, like threw a couple of options up in there and off I popped. And anyway, got the recall through. So then I had, I think it was a dance round like either the next day or the same. I can't even remember. I feel like I've lived a million lifetimes. Had that dance round, which was yeah, Grease Lightning and Beauty School Dropout, and then we had the finals, which was Grease Lightning, Beauty School Dropout, and a whole partner work section as well, because a lot of the dancing Grease is partner work. You're all coupled up. You stay with the same person for the whole show, pretty much. So yeah, I did that, and actually, the person that I was paired with in my dance final, I knew from GSA. He was a year, 2 years below me, and I went, oh my god! And they paired us up because we were both like two of the tallest in the room. So I was like, perfect. So yeah, I did that, and then did my singing, I guess, final, which was singing Marty's song, which is Freddie My Love, and Hopelessly Devoted for Sandy, and then doing a Marty scene, which was the bedroom scene from Grease, which is very long, and it was like Marty's big section from that scene with her little monologue. So yeah, did that, and then got put on Stronghold the next day, like the next morning, and I was like, what? It's very, very quick, and then yeah, got the offer as soon as the weekend was over on the Monday for Marty cover Sandy.
Oh my
Very
God,
quick.
what a story. And how did you react when you found out?
Do you know what? I think most of my emotions came out when I got put on Stronghold because my agent had sort of said, they don't really do this unless there's a
Like
chance of not getting
95%.
through. Exactly, yes. So I was like, what? So yeah, I think most of my emotions came out then. I was like really shaky, just couldn't really believe it. And then when the offer came through, yeah, just tears. Because like I said, I'd had literally my whole knee replaced. I'd taken best part of a year and a half, 2 years out of the industry. And I think just the relief of being like, oh my God, I'm actually well enough to be back. That exact same date the year before, I just had my knee surgery. So I like wasn't even walking. So the fact that I'd sort of been disciplined enough to pull myself back and go to the gym, 5 times a week, make sure I was doing my spinning classes for my cardio, everything just to be physically fit enough. Yeah, I was just, like sobbing. I did a TikTok, obviously, because duh, I did a TikTok of all of my like friends and family reactions, and it
Oh,
was
I
just
love that.
my grandma's face. Ooh, so
Oh,
cute.
stop.
Yeah,
That's so wholesome.
yeah.
And Greece on tour, I mean, how did you find the tour life?
Tour life is not for the weak. let's put that out there. This was my first like full touring experience. And ours was weekly touring. So we only did two venues on the whole tour where we stayed for longer than a week. And I think we
Wow.
did like 27,
Lot.
28 venues. It's a lot, it's a lot. And you're moving house every week. So every Sunday, whether it's a 2 hour journey or an 11-hour journey, you're
Oh,
moving. Yeah, one of the journeys, I think I did like Truro to Bradford. I think it took about 10.5 hours in the car. Traumatizing. But yeah, I mean, like touring is it's a different beast, because you're not going home to your own bed, you're not around your friends and family, so your bubble really is those people in the cast that you have around you. And I think my touring experience was made so special by the Pink Ladies, hilariously, because obviously most of my track as Marty or Sandy is spent with those same four girls. And we got really lucky. We got really lucky with the group that we had. And they're like friends for life, like love them to pieces. And I think having those people that you can kind of lean on, whether that be emotionally, physically, sometimes, you have to really make the most of those people that you can have close to you. And yeah, I will say my favourite thing about touring is going to all those different cities and meeting people who perhaps couldn't go and see the show in the West End, or whether they couldn't afford to, whether they couldn't get there, whether it was accessibility, whatever it is. People are so grateful in the touring theatres, and I mean the Grease fandom as it is
huge.
crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy, like they're so loyal and dedicated and passionate. So yeah, in the touring theatres, it was just like, I'd turn up to stage door and people had like Pink Ladies t-shirts printed, and it was just like so cute. Yeah, so I think that was a really special thing about touring, which you maybe wouldn't get in the West End. So yeah, touring's a different beast.
If you could go back to one of the locations, which would it be?
Dublin, no
Oh,
hesitation. No hesitation, it would be Dublin. The board we did the board Gosh. I think Hamilton's just finished like 7 weeks there. We did 2 weeks, and it's just like the energy there. The Irish are great. Love my Irish queens. Like the energy there was amazing. The audiences were crazy. And the board Gosh, I think it was one of the largest venues we did. It wasn't the largest. I think the largest was maybe the Edinburgh Playhouse, which was also amazing. But it was more just like the vibe of the building. It was our second venue, so we were all still excited about, going on, still a bit nervous sometimes. And I also had my Sandy debut there, so special for a lot of reasons. Yeah, it was, yeah, just really special. And Dublin's a special place. Anyone that's been, I think the energy there is just great. And it was also really sunny. The sun just like came out, and the theatre's on the water. It was just, yeah, love Dublin, want to go back.
so now that the Grease tour is finished, I suppose you're back in auditions. What would be your dream show to be cast in next?
Oh my goodness. Well, before I say dream show, I would say one of my dreams has always been to originate a role in a musical. That would be, yeah, 100%. I love making stuff up. That is at drama school, that's what my friends would always say I was good. I love making stuff up. So, yeah, I would love to originate a role in a musical. I mean, there's all of the classics. I'd love to do Six. I'd love to do. I've always wanted to do Mary Poppins. Bit of a contrast there. Matilda's definitely a dream show. Like, get me in that cover Miss Honey, cover Mrs. Wormwood track.
Yeah.
Love yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of shows that I'd love to do, but I think yeah, even Back to the Future, like so many of those kind of more modern shows that have come out that I obviously when I was at drama school, some of them didn't even exist. Like when I was at drama school, our third years, when I was first years, was Grace Moa and Maya Consabreed, who was the original cast of Six. So they were like, yeah, it's this like musical about, Henry VIII's wives. I don't really know the vibe, but I'm going to go to the audition. And then it
Yeah.
was like
It's like a sense.
crazy. So,
Yeah.
if you're at school and you're like, what am I going to do? The musical that you're going to do might not even exist yet. So it's sometimes a case of that. But yeah, I'd say overridingly, I've always wanted to do something new. So yeah.
Nice. The last question I always ask my podcast guests is if you could nominate someone to come on and I'll reach out to them, who would that be?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I do think that everybody should hear from Alicia Bellegarde because
Okay.
she's just a queen, and her energy is enormous, and she's a great role model. She was our Frenchie in Greece. She's a great role model to, I think, younger people, because she's really real about her experience in the industry. So I'm going to go and say Alicia Bellegarde, who's currently in Panto. So yeah.
Nice. I'll reach out hopefully when the Panto run's finished. She'll jump on.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining me, India. It's been so nice talking to you. And I hope that everyone listening has enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.